Hey guys, it's Michael, and today I'm here to do my October wrap-up. So these are the books that I read in October. I personally think I did really well because I read more than 4 books, which is usually my average. And I've read some really good books this last month. The first book that I read is The Ruins by Scott Smith. This book is about 4 adults, well, young adults, they're near college age anyways, and they go to a vacation in Mexico, and then all of a sudden they want to go to this really fun adventure, and basically they find this ruins. Things start happening within the ruins. I don't really want to say too much because it really does give the plot away. They have made this into a movie. I don't remember the movie exactly, but I remember watching it. I just don't remember all the details from it. The book was actually really good. What it's good at is it builds up the tension, especially if you're going into this blind and really not knowing anything, because once you find out what like these pictures and like what does this all of this means, like all these vines and flowers and things, it gets really good. And the funny part is that when things start to happen, you understand why the characters are doing this and the way they're reacting. It's really nice. Just the tension that it builds is really good, and that's why I kept reading it. I really enjoyed it. I think I gave this a 3.5 on Goodreads, but it's really good. The next book that I read was, because that book took me a while for some odd reason, I just reread The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. This is a children's book. It's one of those, like, I read it way back when, and then I remember rereading it again in French class and translating it from French. This is a really good book. The funny part is this book is different when you read it as an adult, because when you read this as a child, from what I remember, or like as a younger, also again when I was like more in high school when we translated it, is that it kind of changes its meaning, because in more of a kid's point of view, it's more like, oh, this guy meets this little prince and he tells him about his planet and things he visited and things like that. But when I was reading it like a few weeks ago, it's completely different. It still has the same story, of course, but just the meaning behind it, it really does change, which is really weird. And I think that's what good classics are supposed to do. Kind of like when I reread Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger, because again, like if you watched my previous video, the meaning of the book it just changes. It feels like it has a different vibe to it compared to when I read it the first time. It just, as a younger person, now I feel like now reading it as an adult, it just has a different vibe and different meaning behind it, and I really like that. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads because, I mean, why not? And then the next book that I read, I wanted to read more nonfiction, so I read The Devil in the White City, Murder, Magic, and Madness at the Fair That Changed America by Eric Larson. This book is really conflicting in itself, I believe. This book is about the Chicago World's Fair, where how that gets started and why it was really important in American history, and especially technology, just because so many things get invented during this time period, and how they were trying to top the Paris World Fair, where they built the Eiffel Tower. And so you get different points of views, but the main person of the head of the committee and how he organizes the fair and what happens to it. The thing is, there is like a second storyline within this book where it involves a murderer and how that connects to the World's Fair. The thing is, I felt like the murder story was more interesting than the World Fair. Granted, the World Fair story has some really good learning points, I guess you could say. I did learn a lot. I mean, I learned where the Ferris wheel came from, so that's really cool because this is where it happens. But I felt like when it was going back and forth, I just really was excited whenever the murder story came up, because sometimes the World Fair story just wasn't as exciting as the murder story, and I felt like they should have been something, like, it could have been a separate story in my opinion. Either way, it's still a really great book and I really enjoyed it. It seems like I don't read that many non-fiction books. This book had a feeling like it wasn't even non-fiction. It felt like a literary fiction novel, and I really enjoyed that. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. The next book that I read was Slumdog Millionaire, or Q&A, by Vikas Swarup? Sorry, I butchered your name! The funny part is, the movie Slumdog Millionaire, I really love the movie. The movie is great. It's just a great movie overall. So I was going into this being like, oh, I already know what's gonna happen. Wrong. This book is nothing, I mean nothing, like the movie. This book is in its own thing. The only main similarities between the book and the movie is the main idea, you know. This is about a guy, what was it? Oh, Ram. This is a guy about Ram who goes on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and, well, the Indian version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and basically he starts getting all of the questions correct, and so he's under investigation on how is this guy from the slums answering all of these questions that not even professors or intellectuals can get through the top prize. And so you find out that it's actually destiny. So when a question comes up, something happened within his life in the past that actually will help him answer the question. So yeah, the premise alone is awesome. The book, yeah, I don't really know how I felt about this book. I felt like it was, you know, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't bad. It wasn't like, oh my god, it was great. It was just, you know, okay. So I think I gave this 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. So there's that, yeah. The next book that I read is I Love You Beth Cooper by Larry Doyle. I just wanted to read something really light and something easy. I finished it. It was really easy. The thing is though, I think you should watch the movie because it might as well have been a movie. It's written like a movie. So, again, this is one of those books where I had no major gripes about it, or no like, oh my god, it was amazing. So I gave this 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. It's just basically a story about a boy, Danny? Yeah, Dennis. Yes. This one is about a boy named Dennis who basically, he's a valedictorian, and then on his last day, as he's giving out his speech, he tells Beth Cooper that he loves her, and then basically it's like shenanigans that happens during their last hoorah as high school student. There are some actually nice things about this. Well, some of them actually start to question life, about, you know, what to do after high school, about sexuality, and like, where am I going in life. So I did really like that part. Then there are some really funny, there are some moments where I laugh. So I just gave this 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, just because, I mean, it's just nothing special, but again, nothing like, oh my god. And then the next book that I read, I think this was my favorite book from last month, and it's really high on the list for my favorite books of the year that I read. It was amazing. This is Revolutionary Road by Richard Yates. This book was incredible. I mean, really, really good. This was amazing. This takes place in the 1950s about a couple, April and Frank Wheeler, and basically it's just about their marriage. The thing is, nothing, like, it's not a big, epic, plot where like dragons come out or anything. It's really about these two people and how they handle marriage, and I loved it. I need to read more Yates because his writing was incredible. He writes in a way like, it's really effortless. It flows so nice. He would find a way where he's talking about in the present in the 1950s, and then he would find a way where it seems so effortless and like it's not even jarring at all, where he would go back and do a flashback, but it was like, wow. I didn't even know I was reading a flashback. It was, and then he would go back into the present again, and it would just flow so seamlessly, and it was amazing. And then in his writing, he would ask questions that the characters asking themselves, and it was so poetic. It was amazing. I remember watching the movie, but I don't remember all the details. And then when I reached the ending of this, it was amazing. It broke my heart. I love these characters. I understood them. I wouldn't say I relate to them because I'm not married and have 2 kids and live in the suburbs, but it was just so good. I highly recommend this. I loved this book. I gave this 5 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. I think it was just incredible. I need to read more of his work. It's just really good. Those are the books I read in October. If you read any, let me know in the comments below, and then I'll see you guys later. Bye!